Good morning. Weezer and I are on Route 66, or Foothill Blvd, and we're going to travel west on a nostalgic drive to see some of the places that don't exist anymore. Come along with us. Buckle up. Let's go for a ride.
Since this is the 100th anniversary of Route 66, there's been many documentaries made recently that are very informative and worth the watch, and I'll put a link to some of them in the description. However, the section of Route 66 that we're concerned with today begins at the Los Angeles-San Bernardino County lines at Monte Vista Avenue, and we'll travel west along Foothill Blvd, or Route 66, through Claremont, Pomona, and Laverne, making stops along the way to revisit old landmarks and to see the changes that have taken place. Back in the early days, this section of Route 66 was prone to flooding. Before the San Antonio Dam was built, levees were constructed just north of here to channel the waters away from the Claremont colleges directly south of us, wreaking havoc on the campuses. The very first stop we'll make is a building Claremonters drive past every day, which looks a bit odd. It dates back to 1946. It's the studio of Millard Sheets, one of Claremont's many artists who's responsible for the murals at Pomona First Federal Bank and the Scripps Garrison Theater. Directly across the street, where this parking lot stands, two small restaurants used to operate which occupied the same building. First was Soup's On, then came the Kitchen. Moving a little bit further west, at Mills Avenue, there was a gas station called Floyd's Mobile. Back in 1960, when gas was 33 cents a gallon, plus you got blue chip stamps. Remember them? Next door to Floyd's was a small cafe and grocery store called Mrs. Moore's Luncheonette. You can see the Mobil station next door. At that intersection on the north side of Route 66, some of you may remember this sign advertising the Padua Hills Theater. At College Avenue stood the old Indian Hill Richfield station, and from this vantage point you could see the old high school on Alexander Avenue, now Indian Hill Boulevard. At the corner of Harvard and Route 66 is Wolf's Market, which opened in 1917 2 blocks from here and was the only gas pump between San Bernardino and Pasadena. It moved to this location in 1927, and it used to be one of the few places in Claremont I could still find Heinz beans. Reaching Indian Hill, we find the old schoolhouse, built in 1911, still remains, but has long since become retail shops. Across the street is the Sherwood Florist Building, originally the Spencer Oil Spray Company, which provided light oil which was sprayed on the nearby citrus groves to keep the pests away. In this photograph taken in the 60s, you can see the Orange Julius stand. To you youngsters, Orange Julius was a semi-frozen slushie of orange juice, cream, and powdered egg. It sounds horrible, but it really hit the spot on a hot summer day. This small Orange Julius stand was here from the mid-50s to the early 70s. Next to the orange Julius, there was an underground tunnel below Route 66, which allowed the school kids to cross safely. Where Buca di Beppo is now, stood an old hotel called the Oxford Inn, circa 1915. In 1960, this property was sold to the Griswalds, who operated a small candy store east of here, where this store called Vintage is now. They were so successful they needed to expand, and so they bought the Oxford property. The candy and gift shop steadily grew. In 1968, they added a cafeteria-style restaurant serving Scandinavian-inspired dishes, which they called a smorgasbord. It became so popular, Griswold's then built a small boutique hotel called Griswold's Inn, now the Doubletree. They added a nightclub, dubbed the Indian Hill Room, which became Piano Piano. Sharing the same parking lot in the current optometry building was the old Betsy Ross restaurant, where we stopped to get breakfast when I was 15, taking driver training class with my buddy Steve Taylor on the way to Mount Baldy Road for some mountain driving practice. Traveling further west, at the corner of Mountain and Foothill, where Sprouts is now, used to be citrus groves owned by Doc Johnson, who owned Johnson's Pasture. Continuing down on the south side of the street was Tugboat Annie's, which became the Shrimp House, then Sushi Cruise. Next door was an old Kentucky Fried Chicken, which has changed hands numerous times. Next door to those was Mongolian Barbecue, built in 1987, and the all-you-could-eat option made it an inexpensive dinner choice, and it was always fun to see just how much food you could pile into those bowls. Mongolian Barbecue is still going strong after 40 years. Then came Domenico's, where during your dinner, the owner's mother went table to table, awkwardly serenading the diners. Almost to Town Avenue, still on the south side, was Marie Callendar's. They had the best salad bars with hot bacon dressing. Both of my nieces worked here, and after the holidays they were allowed to take the leftover pies. My niece joked, "We had so many pies, we could have had our own pie fight." Vandals burned it down in 2019. North Town Avenue was the dividing line between Claremont and Pomona. On the south side of the street, next to Coates Cyclery, was a large outdoor boat store. Next to it was Friar Tuck's, the old castle-looking building with an interesting story. Long ago, it was a Japanese restaurant called Kyoto Gardens. In the 80s, it became Friar Tuck's, one of North Pomona's seedy bars, along with the Highbrow directly across the street. In 2015, it was featured on Bar Rescue and rebranded as the Stein House, which was popular for about 10 months, but then closed amid allegations of shady business practices and finally, illegal gambling. About a half a block west on the north side, where Starbucks is currently, a Burger King used to sit. I know because my kids spent a lot of time in the play place. Directly across the street was an Italian restaurant named Rillo's. The food was good, and in the lounge, Ronnie Turso always gave a good performance on the piano. Rillo said Buonasera in 2000, and a strange church took over the building. Further along was Bob's Big Boy, which morphed into several different personalities. finally ending up as Casa de Abuela. Further west was two restaurants, Cocos and Baxter's, connected together via an indoor ramp, which after a few drinks at Baxter's caused me and countless others to trip and fall en route to the bathroom. Baxter's pulled out, leaving Cocos there for a while, then it closed and was replaced by Home Kitchen Cafe. We referred to it as the E. coli Cafe, but my mom probably ate there 3 times a week. Next door, a Winchell's/Blimpies opened up where you could watch a machine make donuts all day. After 2 years, it folded. Home Kitchen held on until 2013 to make way for the existing Big Five and then Dollar Tree. The neighboring building used to house a really nice LA Fitness gym. On the second floor, you could watch racquetball games below in their fancy glass-walled courts. The gym closed in 2006, and the New Life Church took over. Zamar Alkizar and his wife Anna run a free food bank there now, and on Fridays at 10, the line of cars stretches down the block. At Garey, on the southeast side, a Thrifty Mart anchored the shopping center, which became a McMahon's Furniture, Albertsons, and now Superior Groceries. Across the street on Garey was the Garey Avenue bowling lanes. I remember their colorful neon signs. On the northwest corner of Foothill and Garey was a weird UFO-shaped, Googie-inspired restaurant called Henry's. Designed by John Lautner and built in 1957, you could get car hop service in the back and a sit-down dinner in the front. It survived until 1971, then it opened up as a somewhat dubious disco. The unusual building was demolished in 1986. About a quarter of a mile west, you come to La Paloma Mexican Restaurant with the Googie-style sign. Before La Paloma, it was a very well-loved restaurant called Wilson's. It started out as a sandwich shop, then eventually grew into a great steakhouse. Wilson's closed in 1964 and La Paloma took over in 1966. Moving west, we come to the Just Deals store. The sign gives away that it was an old Kinney Shoe store, which I just learned was part of Woolworth's. The whole chain closed in the 90s. Across Foothill, on the north side of the street, stood Liberty Ford, which became Foothill Ford, occupying this whole block. In the early 80s, a restaurant named Cattleman's Wharf operated on the Ford property for a short time before going bankrupt. The Ford property closed in 2008 after 40 years to become a mixed-use development. Heading down the road about a half a mile, just past Town Center Drive, you come to where the Target store is now. That lot used to be the Mount Baldy Drive In Theater. A bit further west, you come to Fruit Street. On the northeast corner was a restaurant very near to my heart called Michael J's, one of our family's favorite. We ate there all the time, and if you were lucky, they sat you by the cozy fireplace in the back. Every reasonably priced dinner came with a dessert of tapioca pudding. The restaurant closed in 2008, and the building was demolished in 2009. Still further west, we reach the Vaughn Shopping Center at the border of San Dimas. For many years, a K-Mart occupied this spot. I still remember running over to the flashing light whenever a blue light special was announced. And I still get excited whenever I see a submarine sandwich wrapped in plastic. Attention K-Mart shoppers, that store closed in 2002 and became an extreme value for a couple of years before the Vaughn Shopping Center entered in 2004. And just a little further west, where this unknown store is now, is where the Cattleman's Wharf restaurant stood before moving to the Foothill Ford property. This building then became the Laverne Cattle Company until the mid-1980s, when the building was demolished to make way for a Pep Boys, 99-cent store, and now it stands empty. At Wheeler, we find the old Baker Square restaurant, which was our second choice if we couldn't get into Michael J's. Baker Square eventually became a Taco Bell. Now we reach the end of our tour. Back in the mid-60s, before the 210 freeway went through here, this was pretty much open scrubland.
Well, that's about it. Thank you for taking this little trip with us. And if there's anything we missed, please let us know in the comments. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. And always like, comment, and share on the video. It does me a world of good. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.